Reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is Tuesday, May the 21st, 2019, 6 p.m., and this is a regular meeting of the Greensburg Water Board. Called to order. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Thank you. Roll call. Donna.
Chuck.
Here.
Tony, absent. Frank, absent. Ryan.
Here.
Robin.
Here.
Okay, the minutes from April 16th meeting were distributed in your packet. Is there any objections or corrections to the minutes as distributed? If not, they'll be accepted. New business, HNTB, Darren.
Good evening. I have in front of you an amendment to the engineering contract. This is for the construction engineering administration, along with resident rep, or better known as inspection services. Our contract ended with the bidding and recommendation, so this is the next phase as the project moves into construction. I can walk through some of the highlights of that, but it's based upon a construction period of roughly 700 days for the first substantial completion, and then there's another 910 days for the second substantial completion. The final contract is for 940 days, final completion. In general terms, that's a little over 31 months, somewhere in that range. If you remember, the new water treatment plant has to get built and online before the existing ones are taking out of service and decommissioned. And then there's an area for the new field ops building, along with the bulk storage that is going to be constructed at the same location of the current facilities are. So those can't get started until after a portion of that. That's the hence for the two split between this substantial completion, so that the contractor, he can work on this side, but he can't actually do this work until after. So it has the kind of sequence. So that's the reason for those two substantial completion dates. Some of the engineering services, there'll be a pre-construction conference. There'll be monthly meetings, with the owner and the contractor. We've got fees in there for up to 30 meetings. We'll also have site visits throughout the project to observe the work. And if there's any questions that come up, to make sure they're following compliance of the drawings and specifications. We will act on what's known as shop drawings, or information, detailed drawings and specifications to the equipment that's going to be installed. We'll review those. If there's sometimes a contractor will submit alternates for that, we'll review those as well. We'll also act on any requests they have for additional information or for changes. We will also review and recommend monthly payment requests from the contractor. We also will review any change orders. We have time in there for, I think, roughly 8 change orders based upon the size of the project. We think that should be adequate there. Again, we'll respond to any questions that arise. We'll do a substantial completion review, create punch list. We'll also do a final completion and that sort of thing. We also will review contractors required to submit what's manufactured maintenance manuals. We'll look at those for general compliance and make sure they're in line as well. The other part of the thing, once the project's complete Any changes that were made in construction, we'll record those, put those into documents or record drawings, so that you'll have a final version of what actually was installed versus there will be some minor changes compared to what was designed. That's kind of the construction engineering portion. The resident rep portion, our inspection, we'll have a guy on site whenever the contractor's there. So he's booked, it's based upon roughly 40 hours a week. We've got contracts in there for 5,200 man hours. So anytime the contractor or their subs are there, we'll have somebody there to make sure that they're doing their job and reporting. So it's just inspection, review, and that sort of thing. So he'll also help in developing the monthly progress reports and payment as well. One other thing we've added that's a little different than a lot of normal construction, we've added an operation and maintenance report and startup services. Because this is a brand new plant, processes are a little different, especially on the chemical feed. Rather than give your operators, here's a new plant, go off and start running the thing. We're going to prepare a report, kind of a standard mode of operation, type of how we envision the plant to be run. We're not telling exactly how to, but we're giving guidelines to what we think that each of the things should do. So that report's probably about 40 pages in length, and we've also included a couple of I think up to 10 site visits to kind of make sure everything's working, work out the bugs. So that's something a little different than we normally do, but given this plant's like I said, a brand new plant, you're changing your disinfection from gas chlorine to hypo or bleach. So there's some different process that goes with that, and your chemical feed points are a little different. Your clarifiers, and you get some rapid mix that they don't necessarily have now that are a little different. The filters are about the same as they have now. They're just a little bigger. So, and of course they've got some new pumps that are a little different. They're right now they have split case. They'll have some more vertical turbines this time around. So a lot of the processes from the standpoint of how the water's treated is the same, but the equipment that does the process is a little different. So that's the reason for that side of things. I think again, as far as schedule, this is based beginning in June of 2000 this year, June 2019, and concluding in December or January of 2021. I know that I did get a call today from SRF. They're still debating about when they are going to close on the loan, so that June date may slide a month or so. From our standpoint, a month isn't going to make a big difference. Now, if it goes 6 months, we may need to amend this, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll occur here quickly. They were originally looking at closing 11th to 12th of June. Yeah.
Today.
They're still trying to do that.
Yeah. As far as I know. And pre-closing will be the 31st.
Yeah, that's the dates I heard. I got an email today asking me how long that we hope we can hold the bids for, and the bids that they were taking back on April 9th can be held for up to 80 days. So you have to basically award a contract to the contractor by July 8th, I believe. That's the 90-day period. So I think that they want to know that date today. So I don't think it's going to happen, but hopefully next month we'll have those contracts here for you to sign too. The inspection again will go the same period of time. The operation maintenance startup, we've got that starting at substantial and working through January of 2021. So there's a little slight difference in that time frame. The fees, the compensation for the construction engineering portion is $1,217,000. The resident rep services is $759,000, and the operation maintenance is $50,000. These numbers fees are all in line with what I'm all prepared to rates for, so it's within, I think it's within $10,000 of what they had plugged in for those numbers, so we're under the number they had plugged in, so from the budget standpoint, the money's been set aside for this, so. And I won't bore you with the details of what the responsibilities of the inspector is, but you can read through those on your leisure if you want to. Any questions? Oh, one other thing, I did have Chris look at this contract prior to this meeting, so he has reviewed it from a legal standpoint, so.
Hey, Darren, you're talking about outlining the development of 40-page maintenance report. Well, there is actual training with water operators included.
There
is
is
that item C
training.
on Article 6? Or?
Item C in Article 6. That's some additional ones. The contractor is required to do, and part of his contract is to do training as well.
Okay.
So there is training built in for that.
Okay.
It's not, but yeah, each equipment will have a startup that will require the manufacturer to be on site and to provide most of them is 8 to 10 hours of training associated with each equipment. So part of that money's covered in the construction engineering, and most of it's covered in the contractor's fee. I do have 3 copies for approval and signature. So
I got all 3 of them here.
you have all 3. They have the sticky notes to sign here at once. So
You need a motion to approve agreements or amendments number 2?
Motion been made to approve the agreement with HNTB. I'll second it. Have a roll call.
Chuck,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Very
Thank you.
good.
Thank you,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Darren. Keep things rolling. Bank cards.
That'd be me. Our billing vendor is no longer going to integrate with the current credit card processing company that we have. So we have until June 27th to change our merchant and our processor. They recommended 4 different vendors, and I looked at 2 of them, and I have the different costs associated with each of those. They're not comparing apples to apples, as one of them is a very large company and has their own gateway. The other is a smaller company and does not. You pay the fees regardless, no matter what. The big company will pass it through where you don't see it. So, like on the second page spreadsheet, it's kind of comparing the apples to apples the best way I could get it down on paper. The large company, PSN Network, would charge like $1.25 to do an automated phone call, where the other company would charge 8 cents per minute with a flat monthly fee. So depending on either one, we don't really know what the fees would be on the 8 cents a minute. I would guess the biggest or the longest amount would be 2 minutes to pay by phone. It's basically touch or voice. I'm not sure which one it is. A lot of the rates are cheaper with a smaller company. I had asked them to give me a quote. Basically, I'd given them a copy of our current monthly billing, and asked them to quote me on our average monthly bill, which is $71.20, and they both came back with way different quotes. And it's basically, it's depending on what kind of card somebody pays with. It can just jump range. So I tried to put it down the best way I could with the information they gave me. And the difference between PSN, which is a larger company, and the smaller company was like $1,000. So I was like, it sounds crazy to be that much different. But the advantages that I see with the smaller company is the small company feel, they're good to work with. They were the most responsive, answering questions and getting back to me. I also am wanting to have them, they can do a website and host it, plus give us admin rights where we can post notices or whatever information that we want to get out to our consumers. And he said that the fees would be considerably less than what we're paying right now. And also we could get it set up in less than 30 days. We're on a time crunch, and I know that shouldn't have a big factor, but it kind of does as well. The larger company does not do web hosting. My thoughts is to have one-stop shopping and to have one vendor that will handle all of that for us. As far as having a rate that I can specify, I can't really say exactly what it is because they're different back and forth, but I know that both companies do handle the PCI compliance, which is the payment card industry security compliance, which is good. The rates are both different, but it's an annual fee that you would pay. They both have an IVR, a pay-by-phone service that we do not have right now, but I feel like it would be beneficial to our consumers to be able to pay their bill 24 hours a day and not have an online account. Basically, it'll integrate with our system. It'll come back and post automatically real time, but they could pay by phone. Just some of the other benefits. Navigation on our website and 24 access to paying their bill and emailing and all that, to me, is like one of the top things. And I've been trying to get that fixed for quite some time. With the payment service network, we would literally go to their website and then it would filter back into ours. With the other system, the next bill pay, it would go to our billing system like it does, and the back end would process and post and all that, but it would be going to the website that they've created for us, and then all the back end stuff, the customer wouldn't really see it. If they have like a shortcut, it would still just go to that same processing center. That's for consumers that have set up an account through our system, billing system, and pay online, and we have quite a few.
979 people don't do that.
I'm sorry?
979 people don't pay online, right? Don't have an account set up, is that what you're saying?
No, what do you mean? Oh, no, that's just out of the 1,399 credit card payments that we received in April, they were figuring them at different rates, like,
Okay.
yeah, that's the best scenario I could get like that. As far as credit card customers in the month of April, we had 15% paid by credit card, which was, or 28% paid by credit card, which was 15% of our $631,000 that we collected.
When you sign up with one of these, is it like a contract for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or?
Yes, these are both contracts. There was one of the vendors that was month to month,
Okay.
and usually they're 30 days notification to stop the contract. I shouldn't say a year. I think they're usually 30 days, and I really don't know
okay.
that answer. The ones we have right now are 30 days. You just send a letter and tell them 30 days we're done. One of the vendors that I did not look at was month by month, basically.
So what is this term?
That, like I
The
said,
next
I
bill pay
don't,
term?
I'm sorry?
The next bill pay term, is it, I'm just following up on your question.
Yes, exactly, and honestly, I'm not positive. That's one, hang on, let me see if it's in the proposal. I don't believe that was addressed, to be honest with you.
Okay. We can find that out.
Absolutely.
Were you able to talk to any other municipalities that use next bill pay?
I did not, but I had them show me websites that they've designed and to go through the bill process, the payment process through them. I did not call any of the customers. I basically based my decision as to which ones to reach out to by our billing software company. And their feedback was from consumers and their programmers, working with the people that work here.
Anybody around here use them, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. And I did not check with, like RMC or any of the other utilities to see who they use. The biggest thing right now is just to change the credit card vendor, which that is kind of easily done. The website part of it was an extra thing that I was throwing in there. But as far as the term, I cannot answer that. Like if it's a year contract or month to month. The other ones were always month to month. But you had to send a letter and then stop it.
Well, it appears that next bill pay is significantly less.
It does, and that just seems so crazy. But by the information they sent me back, that's the numbers that I had to work with.
Well, that's what you feel like we should do. With
That's,
the next bill pay.
that's the company that I get feeling feels like the right one to go with. The PSN is more of a payment processing service, like you're outsourcing all of it to that. Even though you're picking and choosing menu items, it's still like their voice calls or all of that are just way expensive, and it's way higher than what I felt like it is necessary. Outsourcing a lot of the phone payments would save our staff a lot of headache, actually. And I like the 24/7 possibility of that as well. That's a good service to provide. Would you like me to get back with you guys on the term before you make a decision?
Yeah, we still need to
Okay.
approve this tonight. You need that 30-day window on that, right?
Yes.
Include that in the motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that if it's month to month on the next bill pay, then we go ahead and go with the next bill pay
Okay.
as a bank card processing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to go with next bill pay. Have a roll call.
Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry it was all over the place with that. It's like,
Very good. Thanks, Donna. Appreciate it. Mayor's issues. Dan, you got anything to bring before the board?
Basically what, Darren talked about with the, bonds and what's going on that. And so that was what my notion was today, was the 11th was be our final, and then the 29th would be our pre-closing. So, but who knows, it's been changed all the time.
Yeah.
So, we will deal with it.
If we stay on track, then we'll be breaking ground around July the 8th, you said, in there somewhere?
We have to give a notice to proceed by that date. I don't know when the contractor will move on site, that sort of thing, but yeah, the idea would be to get started more likely probably into July, August at this stage, they would actually be on site. But we have to, they have to get the contract, and we have to have a pre-construction meeting and stuff like that. I do know that they are, they're based upon a tentative award, they are working on getting some of that front end stuff started already, so.
Very good.
So, whatever they need, get done.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring before the board? Rick?
I do.
Step right in.
You're not
there,
on the
son.
agenda.
I sent out an email the other day. I got a notice from IDEM a couple weeks ago that we exceeded one of our MCL's maximum contaminant level for HA5. I kind of wanted to explain, I had to put it in the paper, about the public notice that was in the back section. It's a haloacetic acid. They say long-term exposure at high levels can possibly deliver damage, kidney damage. I had to put all that in there, but I wanted to explain how we met our CCR, but we exceeded our MCL. What it is, it's the running annual average of this location. So I had one high test, which was in October of 2018, and it was a 126 UGLs per microgram per liter, which is double the MCL actually. So what happens is, since it's the running annual average, in January, April, July, October, of those 4 months, my average was 52 point something or other UGL on the CCR. Well, part of that reason was January 2018, I had a reading of 13 UGL. So as we continue on through the year, what happens is you lose that first quarter and you pick up the last quarter that we test, which would have been January 2019. In 2019, I had I got all my numbers here. January 2019, I lost the 13, and I picked up a 48. So at that point, when you average those 4 quarters, which would be April 18, July, October, January 2019, that put me at the 63.3 average. The limit is 60 UGLs, but that's the annual average. Now keep in mind, we've been below that MCL. We had that one high test, which was very high in October of last year. And what this is it's a disinfectant byproduct. This is when your organics are mixed with chlorine. It's got to do with how much time, how old the water is, your contact time, and then obviously at the furthest point away, your disinfectant byproducts are going to be higher. So my only thing, I called IDM, I said, look, I'm out of compliance now. This seems kind of weird or not. We're kind of misinforming the public that at the time our water is not in compliance, which technically we are below the MCL right now, at this point in time. But when I average that 126 from October of 2018, that's going to keep me out of compliance, believe this or not. We will have to do this, or I'll have to do this every quarter, at least until that October 2018 falls off. Because even I just got my April results back of 2019, and I was right at the 46.9. So it's averaging about 40 for whatever reason. We had that high 126 in 18. I hope I'm explaining this where you guys are following me. It's kind of hard to explain. So
what would cause that high level? One time.
It's the temperature of the water. Obviously, right in the summertime, you got hot water. You got the organics is that's the abundance of it. Contact time with your chlorine. It's kind of a double-edged sword because, and here's the reason: the more chlorine that you add into a system, the higher the TTHMs or your HA5s are going to be. There's nothing you can do about that. But then the state turns around and says you got to have a minimum of 0.2 part per million at the farthest point of your system. So when you have your chlorine demand that's probably double in October as what it is in January, so we're adding that much more chlorine so I can hold my residual up at the end of the line. So there's kind of a fine line on where we chlorinate our water, if it makes sense. So keep in mind, all surface water plants deal with this. You're probably wondering what I'm doing to hopefully eliminate this. Is right now we're adding powder activated carbon. We do not have that option really to add the plant that we're in right now. We will have with the new plant. Now my operators every hour are going with a coffee can, dipping it into powder activated carbon, putting it in a slurry tank, and introducing it into our clarification. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully, that will take care of the situation. Is there any questions? Did I explain that?
Everything's good now.
Everything's good now. Everything has been good. And in the future, I'm gonna have to put that in the next quarter and the third quarter. You're gonna see it in the public notices again, where the running annual average has exceeded the MCL. So I've already figured out my April, and my April MCL is going to be a 67.3 for my running annual average. So all I got to do is wait for the letter from IDM that says, hey, you know, you exceeded your MC now you got to do a public notice. So for anybody that read that in the paper, that's,
Water safe to drink.
I drink it every day, Rob.
Me too.
Even in October of 2018.
Okay.
So if someone, has questions about it, they should just call.
Yes, my name and number was in the paper, for anybody that had any questions on it. I mean, even now, feel free to call me, but yeah, it was all that was in the paper, that if they had any issues or questions, they could contact me, so.
Well, obviously, you're an expert on this, so like, you explain it means more than if I try to explain it
Right,
to
sure.
somebody.
Right. But I wanted to explain that to the board, and obviously everybody here too, if you read it, so you know exactly what it meant.
Very good. Good explanation.
Thank you. Any questions? No. We need that plan. Huh? No.
Anybody else? If not, adjourn.